name is Bryan Fox. I'm a co-founder at Upstart Labs, and we do early stage investments in startups, and by investments I mean a mix of equity and development and marketing and sales help for startups. So we do a lot of mobile and social as a service companies, and I've been doing web, social, mobile app development for the last dozen years or so. And we've done a mix of web, native, iOS, Android, and hybrid, everything in between.
How many companies do you have in your portfolio?
Oh, half a dozen, 6 to 8.
Half a dozen. So with anyone with an idea should come running to you, because you guys are a startup incubator, or what level?
Like I said, early stage startups, so we talk to people who just have an idea, but we're kind of somewhere between that. I just have an idea, and I'm getting my venture round of funding.
So hopefully if people are making money, then they should talk to you.
That's a good way to do it, yep.
That's a good way to do it. What do you tell them are the things they need to think about before they start thinking about their mobile option?
Yeah, it's really hard to answer that and talk to everyone at the same time.
Don't screw it up.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
How many people here are developers? Okay, a minority. So this native versus web question comes up a lot, and I apologize if I'm going to oversimplify it, but I'll try to breeze through some of the points to think about. For starters, it's really two separate questions. One is how are people going to access your content or your product or whatever it is? Am I accessing it through the App Store and App Store, or am I opening a browser and getting to it? And that sounds patently obvious, but that's a very different question than what technologies am I going to use to build my app or site. So that latter question is probably the more interesting one, and that's the one that people get stuck on more often. Honestly, if you've got a development team in-house, or you've got a development partner that you're working with, or a technical co-founder, then oftentimes you're going with what you know, and that's probably the right approach. If you've got a crackerjack team of web developers, then it may make sense to take a look at the web technologies and see what you can do with them. The canonical argument for native over web, or the typical one, is that the user experience is better with native. Facebook famously ditched their HTML5 app on iOS and replaced it with a native app. I think Bright Cove just did the same thing. They were doing sort of cross-platform HTML5 video players, and they've scrapped that in favor of building natively on each platform. And the argument is, well, I'm a big company. I've got sort of an endless budget, and I can go wherever I want, and I'm going to do a no compromises build on each platform, and I can do a better job of it. And oftentimes that is the case.
So that's going native, building on each platform, and a bigger budget. So what you're saying is native, if you're going to go with a native app, it's more expensive.
Not necessarily.
Oh!
So
Andy said it's more expensive. He told me it's 125% more expensive.
I was told there'd be no math.
I'm not sure if that's why it failed. I think user expectation is most of the problem that you encounter when you're talking about wrapped apps. So correct me if I'm wrong, someone out there that has a phone in front of them, but I believe that Facebook gets more traffic from their mobile websites than they do from any of their native apps, either of their native apps, and like you said, people are perfectly happy to consume the content that way. I think that the reason the iOS wrapped app failed was probably because users on iOS expect really fast table view scrolling and all the other niceties that are sort of built into the platform, and that actually make developing that kind of iOS app really easy. So I don't know if that's an argument against native development per se, but I do think if you are going to take the sort of hybrid approach where you're using web views in your app, I would suggest don't try to mimic UIKit. Don't try to pretend that you're a native app when you're not. Design a user interface that works well on its own. And I think probably a reasonable example of that is LinkedIn, who's one of the more well-known sort of HTML5 wrapped apps out there.
Yeah.
I can check off a few here, and when I say we, I guess I'll talk about any of the startups we're sort of working with, but Mixpanel, Google, Flurry, Crashlytics, TestFlight, AppThwack, I like what they're doing, but I haven't gotten a chance to actually use them yet.
AppThwack?
AppThwack.
AppThwack.
Portland-based startup, by
That's
the way.
right.
Yeah, I was wondering if you've actually used them.
And New Relic, last but not.
Who do you like better between New Relic and Web Page Test?
Different tools.
Bryan, I wonder if you can give a case study of one of the companies that you're working with and what you've done to help them market their app. And what are some of the things you've seen that have worked, and possibly some of the things you've seen that were just a failure?
Okay. So I'll take TapLister as an example.
What's the company?
TapLister.
Tap?
Tap, as in a beer tap.
Okay. Ooh, I like the sound of this. What do they do?
So they are a local Portland company, obviously, here in Beervana, and they do a few things. I picked them because they have a mobile website and an iOS app. He's actually been around for a while, and the idea is you can get on there and find out what's on tap near you. So maps and lists of bars around you, and searching for specific beers in order to figure out what to drink, I guess, at any time of day. The second part of that is that there are digital beer boards being installed in bars like Easterburn over there. And so it's sort of this multi-pronged mobile and in situ and website approach. And what has worked well? A couple things, I guess. So for starters, he's got a great sales team. The founder came from Groupon, and he's out there just doing sort of old-fashioned, marketing and sales directly to bars.
So pounding the pavement.
Pounding the pavement, and
I
as silly as that sounds,
I wouldn't have thought you would have said that as the number one first marketing thing, but it is that old-fashioned still.
Well, the thing is, you build an app, and have it. A lot of people say, I want an app so that I can be in the App Store because that's a great marketing tool. But I mean, the fact that you're sitting here indicates that you need to actually go out there and then market your marketing tool so that people know that you have it. Discoverability is just always, it's one of the fundamental problems of building an app or site. Getting the new and noteworthy in Apple's App Store is one way to help that. I think you should outsource anything that isn't your core competency and that is sort of tangential to your success, especially in the short term. Do anything that gets your product out there as quickly as possible and the best minimum viable product you can put together. And if that means, bringing on PR or anything else, to help get that out in front of people and let you start doing testing in front of real users, where by real users I mean strangers, not your family and friends, then go for it.